There are moments in life when you stop. Amid the noise, the chaos, the constant demands of the world, you fall into stillness. Not because you don't know what to do, but because for the first time you realize nothing out there can fill the emptiness within. The outer world, with its hopes, its promises, and its endless distractions, keeps whispering that you must fix something, do better, achieve more, become someone else. But here's the truth they never told you. Nothing out there needs to change, because everything you're experiencing is simply a faithful reflection of the frequency you're sending from within. Every thought you think, every emotion you nurture, every image you imagine is a signal. And the universe, like a vast quantum mirror, reflects only what you broadcast. You are not a fragile creature struggling to survive in the sea of fate. You are the energy that creates reality. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration." And you, yes, you, are an inseparable part of that universe. When you change your frequency, the world responds. Not through force, not through struggle, but through alignment. Your frequency begins to resonate with new possibilities, new people, new paths, new inspirations that were always there, but hidden from you, because you weren't tuned in. Your mind is not merely a tool for survival. It is a doorway to the infinite field of divine intelligence. Neville Goddard said, "Assumption is the seed, and if you can assume you already are what you desire, you have planted the reality of it." Imagination is not fantasy. Imagination is the most powerful act of creation you possess. The world doesn't change because you beg it to. It changes when you change yourself. Dr. Joe Dispenza showed us that when you imagine a reality with real emotion, your body begins to emit the frequency of that future, as if you're already living it. And when that happens, you are no longer bound by the past. You become the cause, not the effect. When you become present, truly present, you disconnect from the unconscious thoughts that have shaped you since childhood. Eckhart Tolle called it the power of now. Not the past, not the future, just this moment. Right now, you have the power to choose a new frequency, a new belief, a new emotion, a new intention. Bruce Lipton called it the biology of belief, that your DNA is not fixed, but responds to the beliefs you hold, to the inner environment you create. So what if, instead of fighting the outer world, you began to shift the vibration within? What would happen then? Everything begins to change, from the inside out, from the roots to the surface. Because the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. You don't need to beg for happiness. You only need to become the frequency of happiness. You don't need to chase love. You simply align with the love that already exists inside you. Because you are not separate from Source. You are the embodiment of universal consciousness in human form. You didn't come here to suffer. You came here to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Dolores Cannon once said, "Our souls choose to come to Earth to learn, to heal, to experience, but most of all, to awaken." Awakening is not a destination. Awakening is the moment you look within and say, "I am no longer a victim of circumstance. I am the creator of it." And it all begins with one question: what frequency am I transmitting? And from that answer, a new life begins to unfold. You don't have to change the world. You only have to change yourself, and the world will shift like a tuning fork in resonance. You don't have to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. You don't need anyone to validate your worth. Your very existence is the universe's confirmation. And when you believe that, not just with your mind, but with your entire being, you release the highest frequency you've ever known. A frequency that doesn't create a new reality, but attracts the one that was always waiting for you on a higher wavelength. The universe is not hiding its secrets. It's only silent, until you match its rhythm. And when you do, the door opens. Not through effort, not through force, but through harmony. The harmony of a soul that has remembered that it is creation itself, in motion. Nothing on the outside needs to change, but you must be honest with the inside, because you cannot heal a frequency you're still denying. You cannot change a reality if you keep recreating it through the old stories you tell yourself. No one loves me. I always fail. I'm not worthy. Those words, they're not the truth. They are programming. You don't need to fight the program. You just need to wake up from it. Like someone becoming lucid in the middle of a dream and realizing, this is just a dream. And then you have the power to dream again, but this time, consciously. You may have spent your whole life replaying unconscious loops of memory, pain, belief, and fear. But the present, this very moment, is where you can break that cycle. With what? With awareness. When you become the observer instead of the reactor, you reclaim your power. When you pause before speaking, before thinking, and simply notice what's happening within, you're no longer a victim of your subconscious. You become the master of the present. Old wounds, they're not your enemy. They're part of the journey to help you remember who you are, when no longer conditioned. When you look at your pain without judgment, you're releasing it. When you feel your fear without running from it, you're transforming it. And when you dare to believe you can create a new frequency, even the tiniest shift, you're shaking the fabric of your reality. Remember this, a small inner shift can open up a massive turning point in your outer world. Never underestimate the power of the frequency you choose each morning. Gratitude, love, curiosity, clear intention, even one vibration like that is enough to begin rebuilding your entire reality. You weren't born to live like a machine. You came here to create, as a conscious soul. You may have been deceived that you need to control everything, but control comes from fear. Truth comes from surrendering into awareness, not giving up, but letting go of resistance. The more you resist, the more reality pushes back. The more you accept, the softer life becomes. And from there you lead it, not with force, but with the clarity of your mind and the stillness of your soul. High frequency is not about smiling endlessly. High frequency is about being radically honest with yourself. Even on the days you're sad, angry, or tired, you don't escape. You stay present because you know every emotion is a vibration, and you can transmute them through your non-judgmental awareness. No one ever taught you this. They taught you how to obey, how to compete, how to please others. But no one taught you how to tune into yourself, and that's why you felt lost. But now, you're beginning to remember. That inside you is an intelligence beyond logic. It knows where you're meant to go. It knows who you were before you forgot. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in frequency. Call it intuition, a gut feeling, the whisper of your soul. If you're quiet enough, you'll hear it. If you trust enough, you'll follow. And if you follow, step by step, a new life will unfold like magic. Not because you forced it, but because you finally synced your rhythm with the rhythm of the universe. You don't need to shout for the universe to hear you. You only need to vibrate at the right frequency, because in another dimension, everything you've ever longed for already exists. Not in the form of a prayer, but as a frequency. If you want to align with the frequency of love, you must let go of self-rejection. If you seek the frequency of clarity, you must walk through your inner chaos. And if you wish to live in the frequency of freedom, you must confront the very ego that binds you every day. That's why Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Because true light doesn't always feel comforting at first. It burns away the parts of you that were never really you. It strips the masks. It melts the roles you've played for too long. And in that moment, you finally begin to see yourself. Not the you from yesterday who tried to earn validation, but the real you, the one who no longer needs permission to shine. You no longer seek acceptance because you've accepted yourself. You no longer live to please anyone because you've come home to your soul. And when that happens, life shifts without warning. The old leaves, the new arrives, and you realize it's not the world that's changed. You've changed frequencies. Like tuning a radio, you can't hear your favorite song if you're on the wrong station. Reality is no different. You can't arrive at the life you desire while echoing the inner voice that whispers, I'm not worthy. I can't. Don't dream. You can't bring limitation into an infinite dream and expect it to come alive. You must shed that limitation, like peeling off a skin that no longer fits. And then you'll feel something sacred. You're not creating a new version of yourself. You're simply releasing what you're not. Enlightenment isn't about adding more. It's about letting go. Letting go of the layers of conditioning, fear, resistance, and self-denial, until what's left is raw, luminous truth. No more striving, just returning. And the place you return to isn't far. It's right here, in this exact moment. Not in the past, not in the future, just now. What you're seeking isn't found in a destination. It lives in the quality of presence you bring to every single step. Most people go their whole lives without ever truly living. They exist as shadows of themselves, chasing goals, chasing others, afraid of being left behind, but inside they feel hollow. Because they've never stopped to ask, who am I really? Not a job title, not the name on a bank card, not the roles assigned to them since childhood, but who, at the deepest level, when no one's watching and no one's judging. Have you ever felt it? That moment when you're alone. No voices, no music, only stillness. And from within, a whisper rises, not in words, but in a knowing. I am not everything I thought I was. I am more, deeper, stronger. I am consciousness, awakening. And suddenly you see, everything you thought was out there was only a reflection of what's in here. Quantum science has pointed to this truth. Greg Braden once said, "The universe is a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want, it reflects what you are." Joe Dispenza calls it the quantum field of infinite possibilities, where every outcome already exists. Neville Goddard called it the law of assumption. When you imagine vividly, the universe must rearrange reality to match your frequency. And then you stop begging. You stop hoping. You start choosing. Choosing through the frequency you embody every single day. When you choose gratitude, not because everything is perfect, but because you choose to see the light in what's still incomplete, you shift your frequency. When you choose presence over resistance, choose to breathe instead of panic, choose to see instead of run, you shift your frequency. When you begin to love yourself, not because someone praised you, but because you remembered who you are, you shift your frequency. As David R. Hawkins said, everything has a vibration. Thoughts have a vibration. Words have a vibration. Your presence has a vibration. You can't fake it. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to the authenticity of the energy you emit. You can say, "I'm fine" all day, but if inside you're filled with fear, your vibration says unsafe. And the universe, like a mirror, will reflect just that. Experiences that echo, you are not safe. But if you sit in the pain and whisper, "I'm afraid, but I choose to love myself in this fear," then your vibration shifts. It moves from resistance to acceptance, from battling to healing. And that is the first doorway to a changed reality. No forcing, no fake positivity, just sacred honesty. Dolores Cannon once said, "We are not just these bodies. We are souls having a human experience." And if you are a soul, then every pain, every resistance, every challenge is school. They don't come to punish, they come to awaken. And once you awaken, you'll realize no one is truly against you. There is only you, resisting yourself, resisting your own light, resisting your vastness, resisting the infinite potential your soul carried long before this lifetime began. You don't have to learn how to become the light. You are the light. You only have to stop covering it with layers of conditioning, fear, and unhealed stories. Remember what Ram Dass said, "We're all just walking each other home, and that home isn't a destination. It's a state of vibration, a frequency, an inner space where everything is clear, loving, and deeply true." And then one day, you can't endure this version of reality anymore. You stop waiting for a miracle to arrive from the outside, because you realize you are the miracle. You don't need permission. You don't need certification. You don't need a guide to tell you the way. You are the guide. You are the torch in the dark you once begged someone else to carry for you. You are the answer you used to pray for. You are the affirmation you once searched for. You are the first light that breaks through when your soul finally whispers, "Enough. It's time to remember." And you begin to remember, not with the mind, but with presence. You no longer try to control everything, because now you've become the vibration that draws it all in. You're no longer chasing, you're being, as if it's already true. You don't chase love, you are love. You don't seek acceptance, you embody acceptance. You don't fear failure, because you now understand, failure doesn't exist. There is only feedback from the universe, mirroring the frequency you're emitting. Every moment you are choosing. Every moment you are broadcasting. Every moment you are rewriting the script of your life through the energy you choose to live in. You no longer wait for things to change before you start believing. You believe first. You love first. You live as if it's already done, and so it becomes done. This isn't the law of attraction. It's the law of reflection. The universe doesn't reward effort. So if you want freedom, live as the one who is already free. If you want abundance, walk like someone who is already full. If you want healing, treat yourself as someone already healed. Because change doesn't begin when the world shifts. Change begins when you do. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." But now, you're no longer a victim of fate. You become the author of your destiny through self-awareness, through self-presence, by sitting down and facing yourself, not with fear, not with shame, but with absolute courage. Courage to look at the pain and embrace it. Courage to see old beliefs and release them. Courage to let go of who you thought you had to be so you can become who you were always meant to be. And when you do that, the world changes. Not because it truly changed, but because you are no longer the same person seeing it. The time is now. Not tomorrow, not when I'm ready, not when life makes more sense. It's now, this moment, where your soul is calling you home, back to yourself, back to truth, back to the power you've always had. No one is coming to save you, but no one needs to, because you no longer need saving. You only need to remember. And when you remember, you no longer ask the universe, "Am I worthy?" You say to the universe, through every vibration in your being, "I know who I am."